Hi, it's Jim Carson once again from Blackstock, Ford, Lincoln, Orangeville, Ontario. Here today at our mod center, Bad Dog Mods at 670 Rydell Road, and I've got my guest here, Chris Kasparian, and we're going to talk about what's new for 2020 on the Ford Mustang. So Chris, here we are, it's January, and we're at just finishing up Barrett-Jackson, but the Mecum auction. Did you catch the 68 Bullitt Mustang, and did you see what that sold for? What did you think?
I did, and it was just over $3 million, I believe. 3.4?
3.4, I think it was, yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, especially for a Mustang. But with the heritage of that car and what it means to a lot of Mustang people, I guess maybe it's not surprising that it went for that much.
But you got a 10% buyer's fee that everybody forgets. So when they publish the number, I think it's going to be 3.78. That's US dollars. I did the math. In Canadian, it's like 4.88, and I don't even know, like it's out of my league, so why am I going to figure out what happens with HST? But so you're talking a $5 million 1968 Mustang GT. That's pretty high.
It is pretty high, but you're also talking about a Mustang that Steve McQueen drove. And some people, that's worth the price.
Well, speaking of Steve McQueen, look at my shirt. I wore that today because we're going to talk more about Steve McQueen. So good segue there. But let's first talk about what's new in the order guide for 2020 Mustangs, and it's not much.
No, it's not.
But interesting. So the biggest mechanical changes, maybe the only mechanical changes, are on the 4-cylinder EcoBoost. So we have the new high performance package that is 330 horsepower.
332 horsepower,
right.
350 foot-pounds of torque.
And in Canadian dollars, I mean, it's pretty good value. You get a lot of stuff. It's $6,500 for the option package. And then that horsepower rating is based on 93 octane fuel, I think we should point out, but whichever. It supposedly is the RS motor, is what everybody's saying online. I don't know if that's been an official word from Ford. That's a Focus RS. Why do you think the horsepower is not 350 then?
Only Ford knows. It's hard to say. Maybe they were more concerned about durability issues, daily driving. I'm not really sure why that would be, but at any rate, comparing 332 horsepower to 350 horsepower, like it's fairly minimal. I don't think too many people are going to be very concerned about that.
I'd read somewhere it's about the mounting of the engine not being, horizontal, longitudinal. What's the word?
Well,
doesn't matter. It's not sideways. It's so there's not room for a large enough intercooler, and possibly that's the reason why.
Yeah, could be exhaust plumbing as well. It's it's the Ford knows. Only Ford knows, and honestly, again, because that horsepower difference is, you're talking 18 horsepower difference. Like, I really don't think that too many people are going to be concerned about that.
Well, I ask you all things Mustang because there's people say to me, oh, you know lots about Mustangs. Well, here's one thing I don't know. I don't know what it's like to buy one because I've never been one. I'm a Ford dealer. I've never bought one. I'm a Ford dealer. I guess you could say maybe I've bought hundreds, but personally, you've owned several Mustangs.
Yes.
Right now, you've got a 2005 S550 convertible. You've supercharged it. It's competition orange. So that's lots of horsepower. Who is the market for this EcoBoost 4-cylinder Mustang anyway? And is there one?
Yeah, well, I mean, times change, and what has gained popularity, I would say, over the last 20 years for sure, are 4-cylinder tuner cars. So you're talking about, Hondas and Toyotas and Nissans and a lot of people who are very fond of those brands and the ability to take a 4-cylinder car and crank up that horsepower. And it's created its whole genre. Like, you have movies based around 4-cylinder tuner cars. Like, it's pretty crazy. And I think Ford is trying to perhaps capture a piece of that market. And, I think you have a new generation of people who perhaps don't identify with the V8 like people closer to our age would. So they're not thinking about the 60s muscle cars because that isn't their generation. They're thinking about efficiency and high horsepower, low cubic inch. They're thinking about things like the environment. Like it's a completely different world.
You bring up a good point. I think part of the challenge for us as a Ford dealer is remembering that the EcoBoost Mustang, and now with the high performance package, we'll talk about the additional handling and package in just one second, but compare that car to all the other competitive offers and exclude the GT, it compares extremely favorably. But it always happens that you compare it to what else is in the Mustang lineup, which is the GT, and it's a lot more horsepower and has the panache of the V8 Mustang, and to most people represents the true Mustang. But if you exclude that, who's got an offering for, you take the Mustang, so let's just cover the pricing. The EcoBoost Mustang for 2020, when you want to add the high performance package, you can do that on a base 100A car. You can do that with an automatic transmission. You can do that on a convertible. So there's a lot of flexibility there. And you're into you're into something in the high 30s for an MSRP sticker, and what's out there that beats it?
Yeah, no, that's true. And again, I really honestly believe that Ford is trying to capture some of that magic that the Japanese market has created with high horsepower 4-cylinder tuner cars, and I think they're going about it in a good way. They're trying to lure people to cross that line to the Mustang family, and I'm sure some people will.
Yeah, you use the word magic. I might use a different word on that. Let's move on. So let's keep going and talk about on the EcoBoost the addition of the handling package. It requires the high performance package. The brakes in the high performance package at $6,500 for the package, you get upgraded brakes, but they're still 4-piston brakes. Then you go to the handling package. Now that's a deal. That's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. It's $2,600. It includes MagnaRide. It includes larger brakes. And it includes the torsion axle, and it's a 3:5:5 ratio. And today, I'm looking outside from the window here, 17 centimeters of snow reminds me, was it 2 years ago? We already did this, maybe 3 years ago. It's on our YouTube channel, 2 parts. So we took out a 727 horsepower Mustang and the Focus RS, and we winter tested them with winter tires. I think the EcoBoost car is it's probably going to be a year-round driver car, and it can do a great job of that. But you know what? For me, I can't fathom buying a Mustang that doesn't have the torsion axle, and yours doesn't have it.
No, it does not.
But they weren't available back in 2015 either, in the convertible especially. And you've got all that horsepower. How would your car be better with that torsion axle? You've driven lots of.
Well, I mean, a torsion axle is going to distribute the power nice and evenly. It's going to help you, especially if you're tracking the car, coming out of corners. It's a better overall axle, especially if you're into high performance driving. And most people that buy a Mustang GT or the performance package EcoBoost are considering high performance driving to some extent.
My point was winter driving with the torsion axle. It was a year-round car. I mean, we're so brainwashed we have to have front-wheel drive, and it's absolutely not true. You have to have snow tires, but that torsion axle, whether it be in this new handling package for the EcoBoost, or of course in Performance Pack 1 or 2, to buy that axle as parts and assemble it, you're almost always exceeding the price of the cost of the package, and especially now in this Mustang handling package at $2,600, you could not even buy the parts, let alone assemble it, let alone install it. You just couldn't even touch that. And so you're getting the MagnaRide, you're getting the Pirelli Corsa tires, which I've never tried, but I hear they're pretty good. And I'm hearing that the comparisons of that car in terms of the handling comparisons, if you believe the reviewers, say that it handles pretty much on par with a Shelby GT500, given the fact that it has 200 pounds less in the front.
Oh, Well, that doesn't surprise me. I have seen some reviews on the high performance package for the EcoBoost, and that's one of the things that pretty much all the reviews mention, and that's less weight over the front axle. And for anyone that's done any kind of track driving or enthusiastic driving down a back road, you know that you can really feel that difference. And when you have less weight over the front axle, it feels much more nimble. The turn in is quicker, and it's a nice performance feeling.
Yep. Well, that high performance package, again, you're getting active exhaust, you're getting the upgraded horsepower, you're getting upgraded brakes, you're getting a lot of value there. But when you do, if you do choose that, and as I said, I think it's mandatory to go add the handling package to it, that is not available in a 100A. So now you got to factor in the 101A is $2,000. And it's also the handling package that is not available in the convertible and requires the 101A. So the automatic transmission is available. That makes it different. Maybe that target audience, the younger demographics, not brought up with learning how to drive manuals. So, in either a convertible, in the coupe with either manual or automatic, you got a great handling car for the price there, I think.
And I think it really just goes to show that, again, and this has been said several times before, it's almost a cliche, there really is a Mustang for everybody.
Well, let's move on then, and let's talk about the other changes. And let's talk about one that applies to both the EcoBoost and the GT, and that is 3 new colors. Now, what I did today, my friends at Air Design, these are officially licensed product. You've seen me in previous videos talk about the side scoops. So they have them already ready to go in the 2020 colors, and as an accessory from your Ford dealer, like $300, painted, ready to go. You can pretty much install them yourself. They're an awesome accessory, but everybody has their own opinion. I just wanted to have them here today for the colors. So let's talk about Rapid Red. You're a color guy, Chris. What's your first impressions on this new Rapid Red?
I like it very much. With all the metal flake going on in there, I'm sure out in the sun on all the different angles of the body, it's going to really pop. It is reminiscent of a kind of a ruby red, which is a previous color, and I think it looks very good. It's a nice, classy looking color for a Mustang.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the more popular colors this year on all Mustangs, but particularly the GT. All right, there is a 4th new color I should add. That's iconic silver, and I didn't bother bringing it. It's a little darker silver. Big deal. It's not really a color. Number 2, Twister Orange. And what do you think, and how do you compare this Twister Orange to last year's Orange Fury, first of all?
Well, I got to tell you, last year's Orange Fury, there was a lot of yellow in that, and that's fine. I mean, it looked very good. It changed shades depending on the light, and it looked very good, but it mostly looked more yellow than orange. This new Twister Orange, this color pops.
Looks a lot like your competition orange.
So I have a 2015 S550 in competition orange, and I love the color. And this is, I got to tell you, this pops even more than that. This has definitely got some more orange in it, and I think it's a fantastic color. I think if you're buying a Mustang, that's pretty much one of the main colors that you'd want to consider. It just really pops.
Well, we're going to talk. Let's go to the 3rd color right now, and then I'm going to get back to another subject. I'm going to leave this one sort of handy over here because I want to show you some other points about color. Next is Grabber Lime, and what do you think on that, Chris? What's your impressions of Grabber Lime?
I love it. I think it looks fantastic. People who buy Mustangs, a lot of people, they customize their cars, and they really want to make them pop and show off and do a lot of different things to make them unique, and that's part of the Mustang community. That's what we do. And when you can start off with colors like this, I think it's just fantastic. I think the color looks amazing, and I already have it running through my head exactly what I'd be doing to the car if I had that color on it.
Well, so customizing, and let's talk about stripes. And so the factory stripes, I don't get the over-the-top stripes. I don't get, they're not applied at the factory, they're applied outside, they leave a gap everywhere, and you get a choice of white and black, and you get the big 10-inch wide piece with the gap and the little piece. I just don't, that's me, that's my personal opinion. But white stripes on this, I can't see it. I did see, it wasn't our car, but somebody did some trim. Like for me, if I can imagine either these, this is 3M's latest color palette. Some of these are 2080, some of them are 1080. But I kind of like that. I like either that gloss anthracite as perhaps a stripe on that, or redoing the deck. I mean, I've got black handy here so we can have a quick look at it. Your car is striped rather nicely, I might say, Chris. And that's not just because we striped it for you, but okay, all right. I like that matte black.
Yeah, very good.
The gloss stripes are just, they're high maintenance. They scratch easy, and I should point. Let's go back to the 4-cylinder Mustang, the EcoBoost, and just say that you can't get the over-the-top stripes with that. The high performance package, they're adding unique fender badges to it, but the striping is sort of like on the hood, it's a thin line, kind of reminiscent of California Special, maybe the old Mustang Club of America stripe. It's not the traditional big, thick, wide stripes. Here's a satin silver. Now, I like this combination. It's mine personal. That rear deck, there's one in the box behind me, the rear deck lid you can buy from Ford Performance, and I call it a naked canvas. It's got no emblem on it whatsoever, so you got no holes left. That gloss black always does seem to scratch quite easy. Maybe that would be something different. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, certainly it would be different. And that's the thing with striping, and especially doing it aftermarket. You can do anything you want, and people who drive Mustangs have shown us that they will do anything they want, and you can have any kind of stripe combo on there you want. You could put gloss pink on there if you wanted to.
We've done that.
It's whatever makes the person who owns the car happy, and that's fine with the Mustang community.
Okay, so what's new in the order guide for 2020? Well, technically we've missed the biggest possible news, the Shelby GT500. The GT500 is new for 2020. Very, very limited production. I've never really seen an official statement from Ford in terms of how many they're going to make, but doesn't seem like there's enough to meet the market demand. But I priced one out of our order guide here, and I added what probably are going to be popular options. I added the $24,995 carbon fiber track pack. I added the $4,000 technology pack. And that's kind of just standard stuff that's in a Mustang Premium, really. Maybe if you didn't want that, might because you want to race this car. But the screen in the Shelby GT500 is like the GT Premium, or should I say, unlike the standard analog gauges of the Shelby GT350.
Yep.
But when I add those options up, and MSRP window sticker, $125,520.
Big bucks.
Big bucks. You writing a check for that? What do you think?
Well, I was going to sell my house and then maybe my soul and see if I could put a down payment on a new GT500. But seriously, that's a lot of money. Now, it is a lot of money. However, the performance of this car is epic. It's a very fast car. It's running mid-10s in the quarter mile, completely stock, on stock rubber. So I can just imagine with a pulley and a tune and someone throwing some stickier rubber on the back, I honestly think we're going to see this car in the 9s really quickly.
I should point out, Blackstock Ford, we are not an SVT dealer, so we don't have the right to sell the Shelbys. What I'm hearing and what the initial response is, you can't buy one for list. You're going to have to pay the ADM, the additional dealer markup. And where do you think that's going to land? 20 grand?
Honestly, just like the GT350 when it first came out, so the ADMs on those were through the roof. Now, as the car has been in production now for 5 years, 2015 being very, very limited production, but certainly 5 years, the ADMs have come down or have disappeared altogether. So you might still find an ADM on a GT350R, but I think it would be fairly minimal. A GT350 you can have for MSRP or probably even slightly lower at this point. But the GT500 is the new bad boy on the block.
I don't think we should be comparing the GT500 to the 350. We should be comparing it to the R, I think.
Well, regardless, I mean, we're talking about ADMs. So when you're talking about ADMs, it's the new kid on the block. It's the new bright shiny thing. It's catching everyone's eye. Ford dealerships know that, and they're going to be tacking on big ADMs until maybe the market dies down a bit. But I can certainly see ADMs on the new GT500 going on for the next 2-3 years. It's insane when you think about it. People are willing to pay an extra $20, sometimes $30, or even $40,000 over sticker because they can, and that's fine. But then, when you start talking about a car that, if you fully option it out, you're talking $125,000 Canadian plus taxes, and then an ADM of $20,000 or $30,000. You're looking at $170,000 for a GT500. GT500 is a very fast car. It's the biggest and baddest from Ford, and that's awesome. However, then you start looking at you putting yourself into different markets there. Maybe a used McLaren or something like that. That's a lot of money for a car when you're talking big ADMs at this point. And I think as much as a lot of people really love the car, you'll have people looking at different options.
Well, maybe it isn't Ford's biggest and baddest. Let's move on to what we do at Blackstock, and let's talk about the GT for 2020. Not a lot to talk about with changes there. The 3 colors are one of them. The equipment's still the same. The options are still the same. The Performance Pack 2, it's going to be its second year for it. Oh, gosh, we were very successful with those last year. You can add the Performance Pack 2 to a 301A. That 301A gets you that screen and gets you Sync 3 for not a whole lot of money. In hindsight, give me a little bit of retrospective of your experience. You had a chance to test drive a couple. We did some videos together. What'd you think of the Performance Pack 2 car?
It's an amazing car. The car, first off, visually, I'm a big guy as far as visual goes. I really like to see a car just sitting there in the corner of the parking lot and just looking mean. And that car, the Performance Pack Level 2, with those wheels on it, massive, massive wheels, rubber, it just looks so aggressive just sitting there. The thing's not even moving, no one even has to be in it, and it just looks fantastic. Then you get behind the wheel, and you're driving this Mustang GT that has the Magna ride and the 305 rubber all the way around, and it's just a great handling car. You can really feel it.
Well, you are a big guy in more ways than one, and you fit quite well in a Mustang, and that's something to point out. You're a 6'5", 6'6", whichever, and you get in a Mustang. When I get in your Mustang, I got to move the seat up to reach the pedals. So maybe you couldn't fit in a used McLaren, so take that and smoke it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Okay, so we sold a lot of those last year. Over the last 3 years, since the for more than that, but I'm going to talk about the 18 model year and up when Ford went to the dual injection system, sold quite a few superchargers with our Venom Mustang. And good news just released from Roush. The Phase 2 supercharger is now available. The Phase 2 is a complete kit package, again, still with Roush's 3-year, 36,000 mile powertrain warranty. But you can also retrofit one if you've already bought one from us. It's essentially not too much more than a larger low temperature radiator with a tune, and you're going to get 50 more horsepower and 60 more foot-pounds of torque, so that brings it up to 750 horsepower. We're at the Shelby GT500 area for maybe less than half that price. And
It's very impressive. Like, I mean, look, the reality of it is that, you know, if someone was, you know, offered a GT500, sure. I mean, you're going to take a GT500 for free if someone offered it to you. But the reality is that most people who are in the Mustang community cannot afford a GT500. So what are your options? Well, you know, for $40,000 plus, you know, a Roush supercharger, you know, you're looking at, say, you know, $55,000, $60,000, and you're getting almost equal levels of horsepower. Sure, you're not getting the Shelby badge and all the other things that go along with it, the dual clutch transmission, but if you want in the high horsepower game, it's possible and it's affordable.
Good segue into my next part. Most people in the Mustang community can't afford the Shelby GT500. True enough. But a lot of people can afford the Shelby GT500, and when you're looking at competitive offers that are out there with 750 horsepower and in the supercar range, it's actually not that expensive, but maybe you won't be able to get one, or maybe it's just not the quite the right car for you. For example, maybe you want a 6-speed, and here's something new from Blackstock Ford Lincoln 2020. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. Steve McQueen limited edition Bullitt Mustangs by Steeda Vehicles, and that was released last year. But at 2020, as we speak right now, I've got 2 Bullitts in stock. I've got a 3rd one coming and a 4th one later on in the spring. And so I've got all the pricing and we've got all the information if you want to email us and get more detailed information, because it's complicated. But you're talking as much as 900 horsepower that's available from Steeda on a Steve McQueen limited edition, but it works like this. First of all, Steeda is well known and well respected of having some of the best suspensions out there. The base package, this is US dollars now, so you got to factor the conversion. As we speak today, we're 76.5 cents or whichever, and I have some of those numbers here. But the base, you got to have your Bullitt Mustang first, Canadian dollars, $60,800 with the optional car cover, freight and air tax included as a sticker price. That's a really good value compared to how the vehicle is priced in the US. It's a really good value period. You see the Bullitt Mustang behind us, the only one, of course, in Highland Green. You can also get it in black, although I never quite understand that. Let's go on that. The Steve McQueen, the Bullitt Mustang packaging. So the Steve McQueen edition, the standard package is $23,000 US. And what are you going to get for that? You are going to get, I have more detailed information here. Let's go on one by one here. The standard package content, Steve McQueen Performance or McQueen Racing Performance suspension upgrades by Steeda. Front and rear sway bars with welded in place solid billet ends. Billet aluminum front and rear sway bar mounts. IRS independent suspension, rear suspension, subframe bushing support system, IRS subframe alignment kit, IRS subframe support brace, Sport Progressive Rate springs, bump steer kit, performance-tuned struts and shocks, which are not available with MagneRide, performance wheel alignment, camber plates, ultralight chassis jacking rails, extreme G-Track K-member support brace, billet aluminum vertical links, adjustable rear toe links. The powertrain upgrades are McQueen Racing cold air intake system and performance tune, estimated at 500 horsepower on your standard Bullitt. Steeda Triax shifter, Steeda clutch spring assist and perch kit upgrade, Steeda black aluminum coolant tank, Steeda the exterior aerodynamics, Steeda aerodynamic front fascia enhancement package, Steeda hood strut kit, Steve McQueen edition wheels, 20 by 10 in the front, 20 by 11 in the rear. And if you're probably looking at it now on screen, we're showing you some shots of those. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful looking wheels in that classic Mustang stance. I believe those wheels are made by HRE, and they're only available from Steeda as part of the Steve McQueen edition. Comes with Nitto NT555 G2 performance tires, 275/30/20 up front, and 315/35/20 on the rear with the TPMS. The exterior upgrades also include Steve McQueen edition engine compartment serialization plate. Only 300 of these vehicles are made per year. Comes with the Steve McQueen edition rear deck lid emblem. You can see that on the screen now. The Steve McQueen edition car cover. And on the interior upgrades, that includes the Steve McQueen Edition door sill plates, Steve McQueen Edition dashboard serialization plates, the Steve McQueen Edition floor mats, the letter of authenticity from Chad McQueen, the engraved key fobs, Steve McQueen Edition signed print and numbered by Camilo Pardo, maybe the world's best automotive artist, and some swag, Steve McQueen Edition hat and polo shirt. So $23,000 US. You're just a hair over 30 grand Canadian for that. What do you think of that value?
Well, I think if you're a Bullitt fan and you're into nostalgia and that's your thing, maybe that's something you want to look at. 23 grand US. I mean, that's a considerable amount of money. And we're not really talking any power upgrade at that point.
A little bit, yeah. You got a tune with 500 horsepower, but you're talking about really impressive handling upgrades. I got to say.
Yeah, no, that's there's the handling list was quite long, and it sounds like if you're into that kind of thing, that's a great thing, and especially if you're someone who wants to track a car, that's very cool too. You're going to have a Steve McQueen package on a Bullitt Mustang, and it's going to be an impressive ride for sure. Is it something that I'd be interested in particularly? No, I don't think so, but I'm sure with only 300 being made every year, they're going to sell every one of them.
Well, maybe I can interest you some more. The optional upgrades to the basic package, once you have that, the Steve McQueen Edition 4-point roll cage, remember, I think in Ontario, that could be a bit of a problem getting insurance, I understand, if you have a roll cage in your car, but at this kind of snack bracket, maybe this car's never going to be on the street anyway. Steve McQueen Edition rear seat delete kit. Now we're talking Steve McQueen Edition Supercharger Power Upgrade Stage 1, 800 horsepower via a Whipple 3.0 supercharger and tune. The supercharger, there's another option, the 10-rib belt system upgrade. And then there is the 900 horsepower Steve McQueen Edition. That is an actual replacement short block. We're getting too long already to get into all the details of that. With again a Whipple 3-liter supercharger, painted Highland green to match. I mean, it's just a thing of beauty, and it's 900 horsepower. And hello, can you put a price on having the most powerful 2020 Mustang on the road? Well, apparently you can, because that price would be $30,000 US. As an optional upgrade over top of your Steve McQueen Edition. A few other things to go by here. Ford Performance Severe Duty IRS half shade upgrade. Yes, that's required with the supercharger option. So we know all about that. Those things are amazingly strong. We recommend those with supercharger upgrades as well. And then Steeda QA1 carbon fiber performance drive shaft assembly. Not a bad idea with 900 horsepower. And then a leather and Alcantara wrapped steering wheel with Highland green center stripe. It requires you to send them back the OEM original steering wheel. I guess they probably make them from there. So that's another option. So if you're interested in a Steve McQueen Edition and you are a Canadian, then you probably should be calling us or coming to visit us at Blackstock Ford. Send us an email or send us an inquiry. And I'm getting to the end here. We've been long on one take. I want to thank you for coming, Chris.
My pleasure, Jim.
Anything else you'd like to put your input in on the 2020 that we didn't cover?
No. Again, it's amazing what the Mustang is in the year 2020, and really there is a Mustang for everyone. And if you haven't test drove a Mustang lately, I'll tell you, get behind the wheel of one. You'll be amazed at what they can do.
Well, I think you should do that. I think you should trade your 2015 in. I'm just saying. I think we could find a home for a supercharged convertible with an Anderson composite carbon fiber hood. Great looking graphics, great looking wheels and tires, nice car, gently used. I haven't even seen you go around the track. Every time we go to the track, your car never comes out on the track. Why is that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I can tell one thing, that what I do know about you, Chris, is every time you go to the track, before you go, you come in and have a complete fluid change, your transmission fluid, your diff fluid, your engine oil goes to synthetic, and you take a tire pressure gauge with you. you monitor your tire pressures, and you take care of your car, and you drive responsibly, and you haven't scratched it once. Good for you.
No, yeah, I love my car, and as much as I like that new orange and the new green color, I might have to hold on to it for another couple of years.
All right. Well, if you'd like a 2020 Mustang, we got, again, lots on order for the spring. Lots and lots. We've done our bulk buy. I don't want to get into exactly how many they are. And they are just about all on order now. We're at the end of January. This is going to be March build. Plenty of time for you to give us a deposit on what you would like for the 2020. And you can change your color specs. You can add soft options. We can't take an order, and if we don't have one, which we'll have pretty much every body combination on order. But once they're in line for production, you can't change the package, i.e. a 401A or a 301A or 300A or whichever. Transmission you cannot change, but color, trim, you can go from PP1 to PP2. I'm a big fan of the PP2. I'm not a big fan of the PP1 wheels. I'm getting sick and tired of seeing those, but it's still, you deal with it because you just get great value in that package. So once again, Jim Carson from Blackstock Ford Lincoln, Orangeville, Ontario, Canada. Bad Dog Modification Center, 670 Rydell Road, right beside our new Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center. Thank you for watching.